Well, good morning, everybody. This is Mark Ittleman, speech-language pathologist, and welcome. Welcome to the teaching of talking, and welcome to your lessons about aphasia. Hey, Joe, and hey, Diana, and hey, Helen. Gosh, I feel like I've got a family here already. Isn't it terrific? And it's, hi, Malka, that's my wife, so I've got to make sure I've got to be on my best behavior. So, good morning, and welcome to the teaching of talking, and welcome to Middletown, New York, which is where I am, and good morning, Diana. And I just want to make sure that all of you and everybody who's on the call get a lot of value. I believe that. I want to give you a lot of value on each call, and I hope I've done that. And hey, Liza. And so this morning I want to start out with just a little bit of a review, because whatever I review with you is something that I know you're going to need. And something that's very, very important, whether you're a person with aphasia, hey, Kellyanne, or you're a person, or you're a caregiver or whatever, you need to know some of these basic facts. And one of the things that I've learned being a speech-language pathologist is that the more you repeat something, the faster it gets into the old noodle, if you know what I mean. So, throughout these classes, there'll be some certain things that I will emphasize again and again and again, because I want you to really understand some of the basic concepts of how to help people speak better. Because I know throughout the country and all over the world, people are getting sold short. They develop an aphasia, they go get therapy, and then they're told very soon that therapy is being discontinued. They're told that they've plateaued, or they're told that the insurance runs out, and they're left holding the bag. And the loved ones at home don't know what to do. And they may get some local therapy and things like that. And but quite often, when it comes to aphasia is a very complex speaking difficulty. So when you approach aphasia, you've got to have expert help. So that's my opinion for you. Hey, Jenny, and hey, Barbara. So what we learned last week, and what did I put on the syllabus for today? Well, the first thing I want to do is just address what speech and language stimulation is. Now, everybody says, well, I thought it was speech therapy. Well, it is. Now, listen again when I say this. It's speech and language therapy. Now, there's a difference, all right? So when you're dealing with something like aphasia, you have usually more than one problem. Hey, Lloyd, you have more than one problem to deal with. One is the speech. And we've talked about apraxia, and we've talked about speech. Hey, Donna. And the speech aspect is articulation, the way you formulate the sounds of speech. It's the voice, how loud the voice is, or how soft the voice is. Hey, Julie. And it's the speed of speaking. Now, there are some people who speak so fast that their speech is so slurred, and that's a speech difficulty that sometimes goes along with a dysarthria or a stroke or aphasia. So that there's a lot of things about the speech motor that deal with the tongue, that deal with articulation, the sounds of speech. They deal with the speed of speaking. Sometimes speaking is too fast. Sometimes speaking is too slow. Sometimes the words just all seem to come together like a big mashed potatoes. It's like all the words come together and it's not clearly understood. And the voice, sometimes the voice is too loud or it's too soft. And hey, Joe, and sometimes the voice could even sound nasal, or sometimes the quality of the voice just just changes drastically. And sometimes it's the melody of speaking. Sometimes a person can sound like maybe they've had much too much to drink. Okay, so that's the speech aspect. All right? So there's usually a speech component with stroke and aphasia. Not always, but there typically is. And then there's the language aspect. The language aspect are the words that are chosen, is the recall. It's the ability to construct a sentence. It's the ability to speak and not get confused. It's the ability to speak and not have other words pop up when they're not supposed to. Now, we talked to a woman last week who said that when she speaks, sometimes words come out that she didn't intend to have come out. Well, that's a language problem, okay? That's a language part of the aphasia. And an aphasia, remember, is a diminished ability to understand or express language. It's the words that we use when we speak. All right. So that's the little review. So you're going to want to know which aspect of speech you have difficulty with, or the person you're working with, or the person you love. Do they have a speech difficulty? And do they have a language difficulty? Or maybe do they just have maybe a motor speech problem where the sounds are all mushy, but the language is okay? So you need to know that. Now, last week I posted a screening test on Facebook for everybody who was in the class, and there's one up on my website also. And if you'd like to have a copy of that, just let me know, and maybe I'll put it in tomorrow's lesson again, because it's a screening test that you should all be able to do. All right. So who's the best person to stimulate speech and language? All right. Well, I'm going to be completely frank with you. When it comes down to speech, there's so many different aspects of speech that can go wrong with aphasia. So you want to be able to consult with somebody. You need somebody to consult with who can help identify what the difficulty is. And then once they have identified what the difficulty with the speech is, the motor speech, they can start teaching you what to do. So everybody, if you've had therapy before, you need to get with a therapist if you can, and have that therapist point out to you what is happening with your speech. Not your language necessarily, but your speech. And if you don't have a therapist, then you need to contact one, and you need to speak with one, because, often a good speech pathologist, an expert speech pathologist, can tell in about 2 minutes, even less than that, where the problem is, and chances are what needs to be done. So the best person to stimulate speech and language is initially a therapist who knows what they're doing when it comes to speech. It's just too complex to try and figure out yourself if you haven't had training. So the speech aspect, you want somebody, you need an expert to listen to your speaking and to make recommendations. And he or she can make various suggestions to you immediately that once you start implementing those suggestions, your speech can change considerably. Very easily also, quite often. Okay, so when it comes to the language needs to be stimulated too at home. And so therefore, if you have aphasia and you have difficulty expressing yourself, or if you have difficulty saying things, you want to have a model at home if you're at home. You need somebody who knows how to stimulate language. And that's what the teaching of talking is all about, because we wrote a book, How to Stimulate Language. And then we found that a lot of people didn't like to read the book, or didn't like to read books anyway. So then we made an audio on audible.com. And people kind of did okay with that. But then many of them just didn't have the patience. So then we made a video program, and that was very, very helpful. And what happened is a lot of people have been taking the video program, and they reach a certain point, and then they contact me and they say, Mark, well, we need some other advice. Can you help us? So then we do small groups where I can advise them and show them what to do. So there's lots of ways that you can help the individual with aphasia speak better, and usually it's somebody at home. And so you say, well, okay, well, how do you do that? Well, what you do is you ask questions. You have to know how many words you're going to stimulate with the individual, and then you start asking them questions, just like we all do with one another. Like my wife called. She's out of town. So I asked her some questions today. How are you? How's your son? How's the weather? What did you do yesterday? Asked her all kinds of questions, which she answered. Now, the caregiver with the teaching of talking method, or the therapist who learns the method, knows how long the question should be, knows if it should be a short question or a longer question, because the answer you get is going to depend on the length of the question. And we teach you how to do all of that. The first thing you need to do is you need to do a little screening test, and I'll put that up on the on Facebook today, and I'll put it up tomorrow, so that any of you can test that, or have someone test you, so that you'll know exactly what needs to be done. So it's about asking questions, and it's about asking questions throughout the day and making statements. So you ask, how are you feeling? You ask about things about dressing, about walking. You ask questions about meals, what you're going to eat. You ask things about food selection, about beverage selection, about daily routines, where we're going to go today, what we're going to do. You talk about appointments that you have. You talk about what you're going to say to the doctor, or what you need at the store, or if you'd like to have a meal out. You talk about maybe having family over and what you're going to talk about. You talk about hobbies or interests or communication. And you have to know how to stimulate a sentence. And I'm going to do some examples in just a few minutes. But you must know about motor speech, and you must have somebody to advise you about motor speech if there's speech hesitancies, if there's a stutter, if there's hesitation, if someone's speaking too fast or too slow, if the voice is too high, too low, if you can't hear it, if it's too loud or too soft. I remember I was working in a hospital one time, and there was this man who came in, and man, his voice was so loud. And I was working with a patient, and I was going, man, that guy's speech is so loud. And it was all slurred, and it was really loud, and I could hear him. He was all the way in the waiting room, and my office was way down the hall from the waiting room. And so he was my guy. I had to evaluate him that day. So we found out how to modulate the volume of his speech, turn the volume way down, and adjust the speed. And today he's speaking perfectly normal. Perfectly normal. And every time I send out a note to our email list, he'll always send a note back to me and let me know that he's forever grateful for help. And many of you have difficulties, and many of you will get help also. Next question: how much stimulation is necessary? How much do I need to stimulate somebody with aphasia or apraxia? And the answer is the more the better. The more the better. So you learn to speak what you're thinking. Every time you utter speech, if you have somebody who you're working with who's got aphasia, how often it's every time you say something, or every time you ask them a question, or any time they want to speak and tell you something, that's the time to stimulate speech. Now, since this isn't about flashcards, and it's not about workbooks, and it's not about iPads, okay, you can stimulate speech anywhere, in the car. I remember Joe, he used to come all the way over to Houston, and they had an hour and a half drive, and he and his father-in-law or brother-in-law would be talking the whole way. So that's the whole thing you want to do. If you have someone at home, they will stimulate your speech whenever anything is said to you, or whenever you have a question. That's the time to stimulate speech, so that it's all very natural. Now, there's also something called courtesy. You always want to make sure that if you're stimulating the speech of a loved one, that when you do, you ask them if it's okay. Is it okay if I stimulate your speech? Because sometimes there are certain times when some people just don't feel like it. They're up to here. So you always want to make sure that when you speak with someone, that you always ask their permission if it's okay. And you really want to know how to do this, because there's nothing worse for a person with aphasia to have someone trying to help them talk, and the person who's trying to help them talk doesn't know what they're doing. And so it just ends up in a big mess. So, hi, Karen. Good to see you. Very, very good. Okay. So if the question is, how much time should I devote to helping my person with aphasia speak, it's as much time as you have. As much time as it takes to ask a question. That's all it takes. As long as it takes to ask a question. And you don't need flashcards, and you don't need an iPad, and you don't need worksheets, and you don't need any of that stuff. Because this is about talking. Okay, remember, and I try to emphasize this almost every time, that talking is an interaction. It's an interaction among people. It's an interaction. So I think the best time to work on speech is during an interaction. And if the other person knows what you're doing, and the other person knows that you're helping them with speaking, they won't mind you doing whatever it is that you're doing. So how much time should I devote? Anytime you have a question to ask, or anytime they have something they want to say. All right. Then the question is that I always get: what happens if my mom, she's in a nursing home, and she lives in the next state, or she lives 50 miles away or 100 miles away? Is there anything that I can do? Because I only go to see her once or twice a week. Yes, there is. Any stimulation, just remember this, any stimulation is good stimulation. Any stimulation is beneficial. All right? Now, but we all know that people forget. If somebody tells me something, I try not to forget, but I forget sometimes, and so do you. The person with aphasia tends to forget even more. Hi, Vicky. The person with aphasia tends to forget even more. So any bit of stimulation helps. More stimulation, the better. if there's a particular problem that they have, you want to stimulate that as much as possible. And stimulation means giving them a model. Now you say, okay, well, I'm not a model. Well, yeah, you are. Your speech is a model, and you can learn how to model the best way of speaking for that person. That most people with aphasia need a model. Most people need to hear the words that they want to express. Now, the biggest, craziest thing that I've ever heard is therapists who make a person struggle when they're trying to say something. All right? I don't believe that. I don't believe in that. I believe that if a person's struggling and trying to say something, and you know what it is, and you know how to stimulate their language, then you give them cues so that they can say that. Very simply and very easily. Because I don't know about you, but if I have to struggle with anything, I get stressed. And you know, too, that you probably get stressed if you're struggling. And we know that stress is not good for the production of speech. So what I believe very strongly, and this is after 45 years of clinical experience, I've been a speech pathologist for 45 years plus, all right? And I've worked every day with people, every day, 8-10 hours a day, even on weekends sometimes, all right? So I've been in the trenches with people who have difficulty talking. And so I have the experience to share with you some of the major things that are important. All stimulation is helpful. Just remember that. Then somebody asked me, hey, can I stimulate speech on the phone? If my mom lives, can I do it on the phone? Yes. You can stimulate it on the phone. The problem is, on the phone, is that they can't see your lips. Now, some people will need to see your lips if you're going to be stimulating on the phone. All right? Some people need to see your lips, and others may not. Hey, Joe, others may not need to see your lips. All right? But if you know how to stimulate speech, if you know how to stimulate language, okay, then you can do this on the phone. You can do it every day on the phone if you want. You can do it 2 or 3 times a week if your loved one is in a nursing home or wherever they happen to be. You can do this anywhere, and you don't need an iPad. You don't need workbooks. You don't need any of that stuff, because that's not the methodology to get people talking. To get people talking, you have to talk with them. You have to talk with them. You have to talk with them if you want to get them talking. You have to talk with them. All right? There's no shortcuts. And I'm going to be taking your questions and your comments in just a minute. Let's see. Sherry, me too. Speech therapy. Joe is watching, and Jenny Bourne. Oh, Jenny Bourne is watching. Wow. Jenny came to our meeting with Joe at the Texas Speech and Hearing Association when Joe gave a speech before, a bunch of speech pathologists. Okay. So you can do this on the phone. You can do this at a nursing home, or you could go visit your loved one, your mother or whatever, at her house once or twice a week. You can stimulate speech. Just know this, that any stimulation is good. Any stimulation is good. And you know what you'll find? That if you learn how to do this and do it well, you'll want to go see mom. You'll want to go over there more than twice a week if you can. You'll want to call her more often, because you'll see that what you're doing is helping her talk better. That's right. Okay. So, are there limitations of stimulating speech on the phone? Yes. But for some, they don't need to see your mouth. They don't need to see your lips. And if you get good enough, you can probably stimulate them without visual cues. And so the phone is good. going to see them once or twice a week, even if it's only once or twice a good, is okay. And something else, we're all doing Skype and FaceTime and Zoom. You buy them an iPad and you teach them how to use it, and you could be stimulating their speech on an iPad. You could make a call to them, a video call, a live video call, which is what I do with people. I work with people online all the time. And I find that online video is just as good as one-on-one. All right? So if any of you have loved ones who have aphasia or have difficulty speaking and you want to learn how to help them, you can also do a Skype call with them every day. You can also do a Zoom call with them every day or a couple times a day. You can do that, and that's what the beauty of the teaching of talking method is all about. It's about you learning how to talk with a person who has aphasia and how to stimulate their speaking so that they don't make many mistakes. You'll learn exactly how many words that you're going to need to use, and you'll learn how fast you need to say it and how complex the process is going to be. So just know that that you can learn how to do this, and conversation is the way I believe this should be done. Now, I had another question from somebody saying, I live in a foreign country, and can you help me even though I speak a different language? Well, yes. Quite often I'll work with people in other countries and things like that because they have somebody at home, and I teach that person at home as long as they know English. As long as somebody knows English, especially a care partner, I can teach them what to do, and they can do that and help improve speaking. Because something, in these days and times for many people, there aren't that many speech pathologists around who specialize in aphasia and who are very competent in aphasia. So you want to find somebody, and when you do, you want to hang out with them and you want to learn from them. Okay, I'm going to take some visitors now. I hope that I've helped you understand that this method of helping people talk is very, very, very different. So I'm going to, let's see. So I'm going to, I see, invite friends to watch. Okay, we don't want to do that. Okay, we want to invite friends to engage with me. All right. So let's try that one. Okay, guest request. Debbie Baker, allow viewers to request to join you as a guest. Oh, we've got a bunch of people. Wow, we've got a bunch here. Okay, now I'm going to start with those who I don't think have been on the call before. I'm going to start with Debbie.
You're going to want to hold your phone horizontally and make sure that the camera is on. And we know that for some people, it takes a while for you to come on. It usually takes about 30 seconds. And I'm going to do my very best to try and deal with anybody who's on the call and wants to speak with me, because I want to help you. And so we're still waiting for this person. I think it was Debbie. And it says that they're adding her, but you have to have good internet speed. You have to have your camera on, and you have to have your phone, if you're on a phone, sideways. Okay, so I don't think we're going to be able to see her. No, it says no answer from live video request. Okay, so we're going to try another one. All right. Guest requests. Okay, so we did Debbie. Let's see Julie. So I'm inviting Julie onto the call now. And so it said that she had a request. and it says that we're adding Julie. And just know that this is a brand new, Debbie wants me to try again, and I will, Debbie. And Elena Patterson Lewis is watching. And so we're waiting for the next caller. You have to make sure that the microphone is on your phone or in your iPad, and you want to make sure also that your camera is on, and that your audio is on, that your microphone is on. So I'm waiting, and we haven't had much difficulty with people coming onto the calls. This is our third week. And so I'm going to just wait about another 15 seconds. And then if we don't have, and thank you everybody for the thumbs up. Thank you everybody for the hearts that you're sending out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. I want to help you. I want to teach by example. And so we're going to try someone else now because we weren't able to get her. Debbie asked me to try again. I just did Julie. Let's see Helen. Or let's try Jenny. Let's try Jenny first. Let's try Jenny first. Let's try Jenny. Jenny is Joe's daughter. And let's see if she comes on. My goodness. We want to make sure that people are on here, and we want to make sure that we get an opportunity to speak with you. Hi, Tammy Strait. We're taking questions. Apparently, there are some people who might not have their, connecting. Wow.
Hey.
Hey,
Good
Jenny,
morning.
how are you?
I'm well. You caught me getting dressed, so excuse.
I won't look, I promise.
Oh no, I'm dressed, just not, my hair's not done. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well. My family and I are in Houston now, so we get to see my dad a whole lot more than what we did when we were in Austin. And so, which means we get to chat with him more. So I'm excited about that.
Great.
Yes.
So do you have any questions or any comments?
Well, I'm new to your program of you just being live, and I'm really enjoying listening to all your knowledge, as I've always have. You definitely shed some light on how to be patient with your stroke patient and really listen to what they have to say. And I think patience is probably one of the hardest things, because for me, I'm a mom of a 4-year-old, and we're just constantly going. And to slow down and listen to my dad and really try to help him communicate, you shed light on that for sure. So I enjoy listening to you help us. You help us all.
Do you want to make a comment about your dad's progress when he was in Houston and we were working together, and how he started out, and you came to the Texas Speech and Hearing Association where he gave a speech. Do you remember that?
Oh, I do. For sure. Absolutely. I think when my dad had the stroke and we had no idea if he would ever speak again, and for you to take him from going from ba, because that's all he could say, no matter what he wanted to say, to now speaking pretty much most things that he would like to communicate, unless he's talking about something that is local. That's when I get confused, because I'm like, Dad, I don't know what you're saying. But anywho, having him talk at your conference was definitely an emotional process for my entire family, because we never thought that he would talk again. And your program has definitely what has pulled him through. Now, I'm liking that he's caught back on to your live sessions, and he's encouraged us all to listen and help.
Yes.
So you're doing great.
Well, thank you. I've missed him. I've missed him. He and I became the tightest of buddies.
I know. Are
And
you still in Houston, Mark?
no, my wife and I are traveling all over the country and all over the world, lecturing and sharing the teaching of talking.
Okay.
So, but we're seeing people online, and that's just as good. I'm finding it's just as good.
Absolutely. Well, with today's
So,
technology, it's amazing. You don't
yes,
necessarily have to go anywhere. We can all be in each other's homes with the magic of technology.
yes,
And that's just fantastic, because then that means
yes.
everybody can reach you and really take advantage of your knowledge, and doesn't necessarily have to be here in the Houston area.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Jenny. Wow, it's been great speaking with you. And I remember when I first started working with your dad, everybody was getting ready for your wedding and planning for your wedding, and you know, all of that kind of business. And now you already have a daughter or a son?
Let me show you what I have. Come here. Okay, first of all, put those scissors away.
Those scissors are not the same.
Look, I'm gonna bring you in here because I want the lighting to be good. But I want to introduce you to Miller. This is Miller.
Wow.
And he is 4.
Hi. Wow. Time flies, doesn't it? Hi, Miller.
This is Paul's friend Mark. Can you say hello?
Is that what?
He helps Paul P learn how to talk.
He helps Poppy how to talk?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you say hello?
Hello. Well, you two, I've got to run. There's some other people on the call. So, Jenny, it was great. Miller, it was great to see you. And we'll speak again. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mark.
Yep, that's me, all right. Okay. Hi, Cindy. Wow, that was great. That was really terrific. Let's see who else is on the call who would like to share. Let's see. We had Jenny and Debbie and Julie and Tammy and Helen. Helen. I got to get back with Helen. So I'm going to bring Helen on. Helen, I've tried to get you on before, so I sure do hope that you'll be able to have enough bandwidth and all of that kind of stuff. This is such a great format to share with people. And oh, there you are.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. And I've started using the method with my husband.
So what are you doing specifically?
I'll ask him the question, do you want breakfast?
Yeah.
And he'll say yes.
Yes.
And I'll say, tell me.
Uh-huh.
And I'll help through it. He has aphasia and apraxia.
Uh-huh.
So I think it's going to be really good. And our speech therapist is on board as well.
Wonderful. Okay, good. Give me another example.
Well, we've really only started today, but in speech therapy this morning, we were looking through some photographs and getting him to talk about the photos of our cat, the men's shed that he attends. Would say, do you have a cat? Yes. I'd say, tell me. Yes, I have a cat. Is her name Philly? And he would answer. It's difficult because his automatic speech is perfect, but the other speech is where he has the pronunciation issues.
Okay. Now, to help with the pronunciation issues, do you know what you need to do?
Sort of.
Okay, you want to mirror.
I don't.
You want to mirror. Okay.
Yes.
And you want and when he says the phrase or when he says the sentence, you want to be almost in his face. I mean, not quite in his face, but you want to be okay. so that you can both say it at the same time. I don't know if you were on the call when Joan and John were on.
Yes, I was.
Okay.
It was amazing.
It was amazing. And she also, like Deb, there's not a person that I know who can stimulate speech and language better than either of those women can. And you can learn how to do it also and be as good as they are. To get the apraxia, there's some therapists who just work on the apraxia, okay? And that's okay if they can't say words. If they can't say a word, then working on the apraxia you have to do that in order to say a word. But if they can speak, and even if their speech is not all that clear, okay, you can help improve the clarity of it by being right in front of them, asking your questions, okay, and saying the phrase or the sentence simultaneously with them, like this.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
We'll be trying that one. It's late now. He's gone to bed.
Oh, okay. So, so work on that. How many word sentences are you working on?
4 to 5.
4 to 5. And what's his normal when he speaks? How many does he speak normally? When he says something, how many words?
It varies between 2 and 4 or 5.
You know,
his speech is improving all the time.
Right.
I'm sorry, it's on the table.
How many, when you stimulate, do you usually have to re-stimulate him over and over again, or does he usually get it the first time?
When we were starting out, I had to say it and cue him, but he was getting better so that he could pick it up a little bit better. But we then made him say it 3 times.
Oh, you had him say it 3 times? That's okay. As long as you have his permission on that, okay?
Oh, yes. I think he's quite keen.
Well, wonderful. The other thing is, I'd stick around 3 to 4 words. I wouldn't try too many, because what you want to do is you want an automatic speech. An automatic speech will start coming back in like 2 and 3 words. All right. So you don't want to spend a lot of time on the longer sentences. Here's your goal, Helen. Okay. Your goal is to be able to ask a question or use the tell me phrase and have him get it the first time.
Okay.
Okay. Him to get it the first time. The first time. All right. And then you can repeat it 2 more times if you want. But if you have to repeat it a number of times, that means it's too difficult. Okay. Make sure that he is able to say the phrase or the sentence the first time.
Okay.
All right.
Lovely.
Any other comment or question?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, great. Wonderful sharing with you. Bye-bye now.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Okay, so let's see who else we have on the call. Let's see who else we have. Let's see. We've got let's see. Oh, let's see. Allow your request to join as a guest in your view. Oh, these are the viewers. Okay. Guest requests allow. Okay, let me just make sure I've got the right one here. Okay, guest requests. Here we are. Okay, so let's go to Cindy. So Cindy's coming on, and we're going to talk to Cindy. Got to talk with the mirror. Talk with the mirror. Okay. All right. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, I gotta go that way. Here, that's better. Hi,
Good. Tell me your name again.
it's Cindy Harvey.
Hi, Cindy. So,
Hi.
what do you have a question or a comment?
Well, I don't have your software yet. I'm thinking of purchasing it. I do have apps on my iPad that my partner uses, but he also has trouble processing with his ears. So the speaking ones he has trouble with. It's been a year. It's affected him a lot between the meds and having the seizure. I don't really know what I have to say.
Okay, well, let me ask you a couple quick questions, okay?
Okay.
Does he speak at all?
He speaks, yes.
Okay.
He speaks better spontaneously than if he has to think about it. He can say a swear word in the book. He can say my name. Sometimes he can talk really well. Sometimes he can't.
Okay.
I find the weather really affects him.
What affects him?
Yeah, weather, the rain.
I see. How is he at imitation?
When he wants to, he can sometimes do it, and then sometimes he can't.
And what do you have him imitate? What do you have him say?
Well, when he does get a word wrong, I try to repeat it to him, and he will try to repeat it. I would say maybe 10% of the time he can repeat it.
Okay, so he's got an apraxia then.
Yes, he has apraxia too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a little bit bigger of a challenge. You know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't spend any more money on apps if I were you, okay?
Yeah.
Because apps can't think, apps can't problem solve, apps can't prioritize. So you've got to really learn about what's going on with him and what works and what doesn't. Okay? So you need to find some.
If I write it on a whiteboard, if he can't understand me, he does better if I write it out, then he understands better. He has a really hard time with numbers. I actually have him enrolled in a class at BU Sargent College. They have an aphasia program. He will start in a week with the numbers program. It goes into the beginning of December.
Yeah.
Do what I can. I work a lot.
Yeah.
You want to say hello? Who is it? He's a speech pathologist.
There is?
Yeah.
That same woman?
No, it's a man. You can say, this is Kenneth.
Hi, Kenneth. How are you?
So he can talk, but he has problems.
Okay. Hi, Kenneth.
Hi there.
What's the weather like today where you are?
It's the same as every good.
He's asking you what the weather's like.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Can you say sunny?
Yes, it's very good.
Can you say sunny?
Yes.
No.
Today. Very good right now.
Okay. So here's your rule. Here's your rule, Cindy, that you want to remember is that when you stimulate his speech, and I want to ask him one or two more questions, and then when you stimulate his speech, you always want to make sure that he's on the same level you are and that he's looking at you right in the eye.
Well, usually he's sitting across from me. Pull the chair up.
Why?
Because he wants to ask you something. I'm going to see if I can get my
and I want to do this quickly because I know there are a number of other people on the call, and so tell me your name again.
Ken.
Ken.
Can you tell me your
And
last
Ken, wait a
name?
minute, wait. Ken, where do you live?
Where do you live?
Where I live? Right now I live with Cynthia.
Can you say Massachusetts?
Yes, I do.
What state do you live in?
Say it again.
What state?
Would say is it a follow grace? Listen. First listen. First listen.
Massachusetts.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm not getting that. What state is it?
We're in Massachusetts.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Is it
So I want you to say Massachusetts to him and have him look you right in the eye, okay?
Look at me.
yeah.
Massachusetts.
Yes. Last Sisseton. Last Kissison.
Okay. Okay, so Cindy, what we know of is Massachusetts. That's 4 syllables, okay?
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
4 words. So he'd probably do better with like 1 and 2 syllables. 4 syllables is probably too many.
Yeah.
Okay, Ken, would you say a couple words with me real quick?
I'll try.
Okay, can you say the word car?
What did he say?
Car.
Car. Car.
Can you say the word dog?
Again.
Dog.
Gog. It's a gog.
Good. All right. So, Cindy, what we know already that he's pretty good with 1 syllable, isn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to try 2 syllables for a minute. Can you say 1
Oops, we lost you.
5?
Yeah.
1. He's asking you to say 1, 5.
No, I don't hear it.
1.
1, 2,
Go ahead, Cindy.
3,
Say it again.
4, 5.
1. Do you want him to say 15 or
No,
1,
I want
5?
him to say 1, 5 after
1,
you.
5.
1,
1, 5.
1, fire. Fire.
Okay, good. So, Cindy, with the stimulation of his speech, you're going to need to stay around 2 words. And those words are going to have to be short. Okay?
Yeah.
And you want to learn how to use the embedded question. So I think it would be a good idea for you to get the video program.
Okay.
So that you can learn that. And then he's right about 2 words. So that's where you really need to be with him. And those words have to be short, almost single syllables.
Yeah.
You'll learn more as we go along, okay?
Yeah.
It's a little hard for me. I work a lot. He's home alone. I drive a school bus, so I have really crazy hours.
When you're with him, any stimulation is good, okay?
I know that, yeah.
All right. We'll see you next time.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, this is good. Very, very good. How are we doing on time? We're doing okay. Let's see who else is on the call. Let's see. Allow you to, we've allowed them. Okay. I got to make sure I've got the right. I'm pretty sure it's that one. Okay. Press to join. Okay. Let's try the other one. It must be this one. Invite friends to watch. No, it's not that one either. Gosh. Okay, let me come back here. Okay, so we're going to come down. Okay, and then we're going to come here. And we're going to do this. Okay, wow. All right, this is amazing. Hi, Kimberly. Good to see you. I'm looking for someone who would like to chat and allow me to help them. So let's see. Invite friends to watch. I don't want to invite friends to watch. I want to invite friends to be on the call. Guest requests. Here they are. Okay, so let's see who else we have. Lisa. Let's try her. And I think I'm pronouncing it right. I'm going to try and get to all of you if I can. And Liza is going to be coming on. I think I've pronounced her name right. Hi, Kimberly. And So some people are already starting to learn and apply the teaching of talking, and that's great. Hi, Jennifer. Good to see you. And Liza, no, she's not going to be with us. Okay, so let's try some guest requests. Okay, let's see who else we have. We had Liza, Diane, okay, Julie, Joe, Cheryl, Liza, Cheryl Ward. Okay. Debbie wanted me to try again with her. Let's see if Debbie's gonna. Let's see if we can do Debbie here. Allow you viewers to request to join you as a guest. Okay, let's try. Let's try Joe again. And if you want to, if you'd like to speak to me, just kind of, there's a green button down in the lower part of your screen. If you'd like to come on the call to make any comment or whatever. And we hope that you'll also share, please, this video with your friends or with other people. Hey, Joe.
Hey.
How are you?
I am fine.
Excellent. I saw your beautiful daughter a little while ago.
Yes, I was seeing her.
You were seeing her. Very, very good. So good looks run in your family, don't they?
Yes.
Okay, so what's your challenge right now with your speaking?
I have no caretaker. When I went to you, I take it all of the session, and I refer to them.
Good. Tell me that one more time, Joe. Tell me that one more time.
When I go to you,
yes,
I tape the sessions.
Yes, you taped the sessions. Very, very good.
And now I refer them.
And now you
refer them.
Refer them?
Yeah.
Okay. So did the tape recordings of the visits help you?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what I'm finding is that your speech is always much better to be understood when you speak like this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What happens when you try to speak faster?
It is all mixed up.
It's all mixed up. Yes, it is. Okay, good. So
I am sorry.
Sorry. Mirror.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a notepad.
Oh, and then you practice in the mirror.
Yeah.
Good. All right. That's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
That's a good way to do it. Okay, we'll talk some more on future classes, okay?
Yeah.
There may be a few people but thank you, Joe. And you were probably one of the biggest success stories that came out of Houston. And gosh, it's just wonderful to hear you speaking. Is it perfect?
Yeah.
No. But most people understand you, don't they?
Yes.
And they have to be patient too, don't they? As Jody said.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Joe, I'll see you soon, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Good. All right. So there, in Joe's case, he has an apraxia. His speech isn't, he has to go very, very slowly for the sounds to be accurate. But the thing of it is that the sounds are much more accurate at slower speeds rather than at normal speeds. And that's why speed, when you're dealing with apraxia, is a very, 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 very important. And mirroring is very important. Now he's using a mirror with himself, which is probably a good idea. We use mirroring predominantly with caregivers, but Joe's using a mirror also to check himself. So I'm sure that'll be helpful for him. Okay, we're going to take one more call, and then we're going to, well, maybe we'll finish that today, unless there's somebody who really wants to come on now. If you do, please make a request, and I'll answer the question. Why I'm spending all this time here online is to help you understand that helping person speak is not necessarily rocket science. All right. And before I go, I want to tell you a story. Okay. The story is about, and it's very short, is about a manufacturer who had millions of dollars, this machine that was worth millions of dollars, and it was putting together a product every day, and it was sending out lots of them and lots of them and lots of them. One day, this machine broke down, and so the owner of the factory decided to get somebody in to try to fix it. And he came in, he couldn't fix it. Called somebody else, he couldn't fix it. Called somebody else, he couldn't fix it. Called somebody else, he took the whole thing apart and put it back together again, and it still wasn't right. So the owner of the factory was losing millions and millions and millions of dollars. And so he finally heard of somebody who understood those machines and helped first design that machine. And so he had to call him up from over in Paris to come all the way over to the United States to fix this machine. And so the guy comes over and spends about 10 minutes, and the machine is up and running again. And the owner of the factory said, look, I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars to get you over here, and I paid your hotel, and I paid your travel, and I've given you first class for all of this stuff, and here you fixed it in like 10 minutes. He says, I don't understand that. He said, well, you know, when you hire an expert, they kind of know the right buttons to push and the right valves to move. And that's kind of how it works with speech therapy. You can have all the speech therapists you want. You can go to any university, you can all of that. But if you want to get down to it, find somebody, whoever it is, find somebody who has been down that road and has been down that road a lot and knows the shortcuts. And that will save you so much time, will save you a great deal of expense. And so before you go, remember that on the teachingoftalking.com, we have the independent study course of the teaching of talking. And if you take that, and if you purchase that course, which I have it half off, and it's really cheap, and you'll find that it'll help you immensely. That we have 2 more weeks on the call, so if you get it and you start using it, and you have any question or anything like that, I can answer it for you right here. And that's so. What I'm suggesting to you that if you feel like you want to start moving forward on the teaching of talking, go to the teachingoftalking.com and either take a look at the independent study course and also take a look at the one-on-one opportunity that I'm offering. So, and if you're interested, my phone number is on the teachingoftalking.com. Call me. You'll find that I make things very easy for people so that they learn and they apply. So I hope that you'll share this information with others, that you see that people with aphasia are getting better. They are learning to speak again. And if they're stimulable, hi Melody, if they're stimulable, you'll find that chances are you'll make progress with them. So it's been wonderful being with you. Please share with people that you know this video. I'm sure it will help many. And any of you remember that we've got some things online to help you in all your endeavors. So I'm going to say goodbye now. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow because we have a new class coming up tomorrow. And check your sheets on Facebook because I put up the whole the subjects that I'll be covering for the week, and I'm sure that the subjects will help you immensely. This is Mark Edelman. Thank you very much for the thumbs up. Thanks a lot for the hearts and flowers and whatever else you have. And just join us on the call. Make sure you join us on the call because I like to teach, and I like to teach through example. And if you have a challenge, whether or not you're a person with aphasia or if you're a caregiver, just get on the call with me. I promise I won't bite you, all right? Okay, so Sari, thank you very much. And you all have a good day, and I'll have a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Bye-bye now.